Dear Term Instructor, hi, my name is Patricia McClelland and I am currently the caregiver for ECED 208-210, the Mash-Up Seminar course for the final practicums in the Early Care and Learning program. This is a quick video to give you a walkthrough and a perspective of the course. Know that you are the term instructor. The main thing you have to maintain are the goals and outcomes for the course. Beyond that, you are free to adjust the assignments, you are free to adjust the seminar schedule and the process of how this course is carried out because it's your course this semester. The framework is definitely the goals and outcomes. That's the most important part that we absolutely must adhere to. We cannot change those. But if you want to adapt or change the assignments for your group for that semester or your own teaching style, feel free. This is the main page where I often post where we post the updates, the weekly updates for it. Easy enough to do if you're a new instructor. Click on the news, go to the news tool, then create a new item. Put a header so they know what the item's about, fill in the information, and you can add files to this, you can do all sorts of things, and then you can publish it. You can set the dates for them to open and close if you want to sort of pre-write them ahead of time. All very possible. That's the course homepage. The content section is an overview of what's happening. We've tried to keep this very minimalist because it's a final practicum, and even though we have students transferring in for the final practicum is a very personal experience, so it may well adjust and change. So we've kept it very minimal, thinking about all the things that possibly connect into practical learning. The course syllabus is regularly updated, so it gives you a bit of a course. You'll need to go in and complete some of the files that meet your instructor page. There is a sample. Anything that has this symbol here means it's not visible to students. It's certainly up to you. If you want to unhide it, then make it visible to students, then make it visible or close it off. The weekly schedule you can adjust for each semester as well. Assessment and grading gives you an idea. Please make sure that you and the students review the policies and procedures that support positive student engagement and student learning. The current assignments for this particular section include the practicum proposal forms, the work placement agreement forms, which are for anybody doing a specific practicum within their work site. It's more so for the mentors than the students, but it is an awareness that if you are working and doing a working practicum, things that you must be consciously aware of. The practicum agreement is a legal document between Northern Lights College and any practicum site. We also have digital consents, the attendance forms, and we bring in this document here, the commitment to the rights of children, as it connects to observation and documentation work, just so that we're raising more awareness of the rights of children. We've divided the assignments up into the pre-practicum assignments, things that need to be completed by their first day of their work site. During their active practicum. I'm just going to take a quick peek at your active practicum ones. For some, it may be a different different look. We encourage them to set professional goals. Between 1 and 3 goals. Honestly, I think 1 goal is more than enough for a practicum, but it's certainly up to the student. They may have different ones they want to connect to. These should be drawn from their competency documents. They may want to draw them from their respective principles as they relate to their specific practicum. They may want to draw from the framework. I really encourage them to draw from their competency guide. We want them to be a strong goal, and we encourage the use of a professional goal sheet to keep track of their practicum pieces, just so that they know what they're doing. So that they have some kind of regular follow-up. I don't have them submit this, but I do have them use this as part of their conversations throughout their one-on-ones with me, or in their 3-way conversations, our triad conversations. So, weekday. So they continue to look at what goals they're looking at, what goals they're focusing on, how they're looking at them. So it can go up to 13 weeks depending on whatever their practicum time frame is looking at. The other big part of this practicum, as we flip around, is during the active practicum. For some students, we really need to highlight this piece. that they are to be active members of their program, that they're to be engaged with their program. At this level of practicum, they should be showing initiative in being engaged with the program, not waiting to be invited into the program. We do learning stories, professional learning stories in this practicum. I ask for 3 learning stories so that they're submitting a story, sharing a story in the first part of their practicum, at the midway through their practicum, and at the end of their practicum. These are shared in class. These form the basis for our seminars, so that the idea of what a story is. Telling stories is what we do. It's how we learn from each other. It's how we learn from ourselves. So we ask them to tell a story, and we ask them to think about it through reflection process. We have a protocol for sharing those stories at seminar, and then thinking about how it applies to the practice. It's not about telling the story and leaping to a solution. It's about telling the story and thinking about why this story is relevant and important. What are some of the roots of that story? What are some of the bigger causes of that story? What are the implications of that story? And then moving to some opportunities. More so, what is the learning that I take away from this story? We also encourage a digital story. This is a story of themselves in action. This is looking at a video of themselves in action. It may be a stretch, one long video, I would say about 20 minutes in length, but that's just a ballpark number. They may want to see themselves in action at a transition time, at a group time, at a non-structured time, inside time, outside time. This is their story about their learning. And so videoing them, not the children, it's about the participant themselves and looking at their skills and abilities in action and thinking about their ideas about celebrating their strengths, celebrating some missed opportunities, and how to reinforce skills in action. We suggest this reflection comment, but we really need to encourage students to focus on what they like about what they're seeing in themselves. Finally, the students have an inquiry project, and we've set up 3 options. So looking at an inquiry project itself, an inquiry-based learning, you can certainly go through that. We're looking at either doing an option to do a pedagogical narration or any other project. So past projects have included looking at the principles of care as they apply to principles of care as they apply to families, as they apply to working with peers. It may be something that they are incredibly interested in the world of infants and toddlers, the world of schema and what that looks like. Maybe it's the world of how infants and toddlers live well together. Maybe whatever their interest in terms of the world of infants and toddlers. And so you can set up that project with them. Same thing goes for the special needs program or inclusive care program. Again, an inquiry-based piece that they can approach, a documentation piece that they can approach, or any other project that they choose. In 210, they may wish to set up developing strategies or completing strategies that are relevant to their specific child or a specific community that they may want to look at setting that up in terms of a learning support plan or an engagement plan. Again, their choice, their option. It's a change of pace for many students to be given so much choice within their practicum, but this is their final practicum, and so why not make it engaging for them and that they're taking something on that they can continue on once they graduate. Seminars are set up, again, fairly loosely. We do have an example of how some of the seminars can be set up. Let me just find out. Here's one proposed agenda that we've set up. Sort of mirrors the ideas of this circle of courage, looking at how we share and how we bring mastery in, how we have a sense of belonging and a sense of independence moving out. However you choose to set your seminars is totally up to you. This is only a suggestion. The grading is all set up, I believe, within the course. We can take a quick look at the Dropbox. Yes, everything's all set up, ready to roll within the grade box. As running the seminars, I've found there's benefit in having a couple of weeks of group seminar, then maybe the 3rd or 4th week having a one-on-one evening so that you book one-on-one appointments with each of the students. Now, sometimes it works that you can get everybody in on a seminar evening. Other times you need to sort of space the time out over the week to make it work. But yeah, booking appointments, I tend to find 15 to 20 minutes with each student makes a huge difference because then I get to know each student and have that intimate one-on-one conversation. I try to do that 2 times during a full semester. I would probably do it twice even within the shortened or condensed semester. Mentor meetings usually happen midterm and final, just to close the circle of conversation. My approach is typically to ask the mentor and the participant and myself to each bring a principle of care in action so that they can share that principle of care and an example of that principle of care, and each one of us to bring a principle of care that we suggest to continue building on or to look at in a different way. Usually those meetings are about 15 to 20 minutes in length as well. We happen to use Teams for those, and so usually it's just a phone call through Teams. Usually have the students set it up and give me a couple of options of times, and then I can choose the time and have the student call me at that time with their mentor. I think that gives you a rough overview of, very rough overview of 208-210. It is a balance having people working on infants and toddlers and people working on inclusive care in the same practicum, but really it comes down to living well together, regardless of age and ability, regardless of birth age, developmental age, and abilities. It's really about how we're creating programs that work for children. So it works regardless of the numbers of students, but it is important to make sure that each student feels that their practicum is being addressed in the seminar. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions.